morning and welcome. Please join me in singing our first hymn, There is More Love Somewhere.
Keep I love singing with y'all. If this isn't nice, what is? Welcome. I'm Jason Delaney, a board member here at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Atlanta, where we are transforming lives through courageous action and soulful connection. Whose lives? Yours, mine. I am here because I am committed to serving a community that vows to transform me, and because that work of transformation need never be lonely. We are all in it together. You are welcome here. You are needed here. You who are queer, who are questioning, who are struggling. You who are transgender. You who love God and call it God. You who need no God to believe in love's power. You who hold dear a holy book. You who are writing your own holy book. For those like me who are still figuring out where to sit in the cafeteria, you are all more than welcomed. You are cherished. We now reside on land first cultivated and nurtured by the Muskogee Creek people. Each week, we gather to tell and retell our collective human story, remembering with solemn hearts 21 years ago to the day when thousands of people lost their lives to an attack on United States soil. We remember the restaurant workers, the busboys and business people, the first responders, the priests, the federal employees, the brave passengers of Flight 93, and our courageous love extends out to all of those who love them and lost so much. We remember people across the globe who have suffered tremendous loss in the wake of these attacks due to U.S. military retaliation. In remembrance of all of those lives, and in gratitude for our continued survival, we gather together and light a flame of love and hope. I am grateful to be leading worship with our accompanist, Willie Sullivan, our sabbatical music director, Leroy Kennedy, soloist Shay Stewart, liturgist Barbara Begner, and I would like to welcome our newest liturgist, Jennifer Thilo, to lead our chalice lighting. Let us say the chalice lighting words together. May the light of this flame illuminate our tradition of seeking, invite all who yearn for acceptance, and ignite our passion for justice and peace.
Which I don't, I'm spoken for, I fear. Everyone I've ever loved is here within these walls. I'm sorry, secret siren, but I'm blocking out your calls. I've had my adventure, I don't need something new. I'm afraid of what I'm risking if I follow you into the unknown. Into the unknown. Into the unknown. What do you want? 'cause you've been keeping me awake. Are you here to distract me so I make a big mistake? Or are you someone out there who's a little bit like me, who knows deep down I'm not where I'm meant to be? Every day's a little harder as I feel my power grow. Don't you know there's part of me that longs to go into the unknown, into the unknown, into the unknown. Oh, are you out there? Do you know me? Can you feel me? Can you show me? Where are you going? Don't leave me alone. How do I follow you into the unknown?
Amen. Thank you, Shay. Wow. Our story this morning is The Heart and the Bottle by Oliver Jeffers. Once, there was a girl, much like any other, whose head was filled with all the curiosities of the world, with thoughts of the stars, with wonder at the sea. She took delight in finding new things until the day she found an empty chair. Feeling unsure, the girl thought the best thing was to put her heart in a safe place, just for the time being. So she put it in a bottle and hung it around her neck. And that seemed to fix things at first. Although, in truth, nothing was the same. She forgot about the stars and stopping to take notice of the sea. She was no longer filled with all the curiosities of the world and didn't take much notice of anything, other than how heavy and awkward the bottle had become. But at least her heart was safe. It might never have occurred to the girl what to do had she not met someone smaller and still curious about the world. There was a time when the girl would have known how to answer her, but not now, not without her heart. And it was right at that moment that she decided to get it back out of the bottle. But she didn't know how. She couldn't remember. Oh, Noah's right. And nothing seemed to work. The bottle couldn't be broken. It just bounced and rolled right down to the sea. But there, it occurred to someone smaller and still curious about the world that she might know a way. And it just so happened she did. The heart was put back where it came from. Indeed, yes. And the chair wasn't so empty anymore. But the bottle was. So ends our story. I would like to invite the Honeycutt family, Mark Liebs and Luke, to join me up here on the chancel to lead us in this morning's movement prayer. So please rise in body or spirit and join us. There we go. First, we bow to honor the Spirit of life. We lift our arms and embrace the gifts of Spirit. We bring these gifts unto ourselves with gratitude and breathe and smile. We share these gifts with the world. We remember to be present, honor, embrace, gratitude, share, be present. Amen. Blessed be. Thank you. At this time, we would like to invite our children, 3rd grade and under, to exit and join their creative workshop for the morning or preschool right out these doors. The location for these classes are both this morning located just down the hall on the 1st floor. And as they do, please take a moment, an opportunity to greet each other this morning.
Let us put hands on our hearts. Feel the heartbeat, connection to life. Breathe in peace. Say to yourself silently, I will love myself. I will love others, and that love can heal the world. At this time, we hear the joys and sorrows of this congregation. We send our love to Paula Keinert and her mother, Elaine Keinert, who was placed in hospice yesterday. We send Paula and Elaine love and comfort during this time. You are invited to say the names of the people you are holding in your heart this morning. Speak their names out loud into this holy space now. May all beings find connection. May all people find comfort. May all of us find ways to be more loving to one another. Spirit of life, love eternal, we rest in holy gratitude. We surrender to a mystery beyond ourselves, asking forgiveness for our mistakes, those times we have been selfish or thoughtless. Breathing in and out, we offer grace. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. Breathing in, we honor our earth, supporting and sustaining life. Breathing out, we open our hearts to wonder. For just one moment, feeling a deep connection to all beings. Let us calm our bodies and our minds. We breathe in peace, and then we exhale. We relax into this space that our intentions make sacred. We enter into the silence.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, roots hold the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
We, as a congregation and as individuals, have been called by the Unitarian Universalist Association and by many of our co-religionists to explore adopting the proposed eighth principle, which reads, quote, "We, the member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions." In the spirit of our fourth UU principle, affirming and promoting a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, UUCA is embarking on a year of discernment to consider adopting this proposed eighth principle. The board has created the Eighth Principle Awareness Committee, which includes myself as board liaison, Laura Yamashita as our chair, Christian Harden, Allegra Knight, and John Merkel. And our role as a committee is to help shepherd this community through this process. Adopting a new principle is a significant undertaking, and we want to treat it with the gravity that it warrants. Some of us may already have strong feelings about the idea. Some of us might need more time to learn about its history and its implications. All of us have things to learn from one another. It is the hope of our committee that we can practice building beloved community within our congregation in this process, grow stronger in our faith, that we can live out the abiding love we share for one another and for our community, that we practice what we preach, transform lives, including all of ours, through courageous action and soulful connection. In May of 2016, our congregation passed a resolution committing ourselves to anti-racism, anti-oppression, and multiculturalism, or ARAMAC. This discernment period and the work we do as a committee and as a congregation represent an important, overdue, and concrete step toward living up to that commitment. We said in that commitment that we would remain in learning mode, take risks in extending ourselves, and accept discomfort as we work toward our goals. We committed to UUCA as, quote, "a spiritual home to all who enter," and we said that no one would feel invisible in our faith community. We are an institution committed to this work, and we are humans who covenant and struggle and fail and return and try again. And that is, as far as I know, the only way to do good and important and courageous work. To learn well, though, and to grow together, we need resources. Today's Giveaway the Plate recipient is the activities of the Eighth Principle Awareness Committee and the ongoing ARAMAC work of our congregation. To that end, we are asking you to give generously to support this work, to continue to build a community that is radically welcoming, and not just to those of us who already feel like this place can be our home for religious community. Instead, today's plate will serve as a gift to all of the future UUs who just don't know it yet, like many of us once were, who we are not yet ready to greet, not until we make this a home ready for them. I and the committee thank you for the opportunity to serve as leaders in this community. I hope you will all help us grow into the inclusive, beloved community in Atlanta that we know we can be. The offering will now be given and gratefully received. And now, please join me in the dedication of the offering. To the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action we call community, we dedicate our lives and these our offerings.
Alabanza, in praise of Local 100 by Martin Espada, for the 43 members of hotel employees and restaurant workers, Local 100, working in the Windows on the World restaurant, who lost their lives in the attack on the World Trade Center. Alabanza, praise the cook with his shaven head and a tattoo on his shoulder that said Oye, a blue-eyed Puerto Rican with people from Fajardo, the harbor of pirates centuries ago. Praise the lighthouse in Fajardo, candle glimmering white to worship the dark saint of the sea. Alabanza, praise the cook's yellow pirate's cap, worn in the name of Roberto Clemente, his plane that flamed into the ocean loaded with cans for Nicaragua, for all the mouths chewing the ash of earthquakes. Alabanza, praise the kitchen radio, dial clicked even before the dial on the oven, so that music in Spanish rose before bread. Praise the bread. Alabanza. Praise Manhattan from 107 flights up, like Atlantis glimpsed through the windows of an ancient aquarium. Praise the great windows where immigrants from the kitchen could squint and almost see their world, hear the chant of nations, Ecuador, Mexico, República Dominicana, Haiti, Yemen, Ghana, Bangladesh. Alabanza, praise the kitchen in the morning, where the gas burned blue on every stove and exhaust fans fired their diminutive propellers, hands cracked eggs with quick thumbs, or sliced open cartons to build an altar of cans. Alabanza, praise the busboy's music, the chime of his dishes and silverware in the tub. Alabanza, praise the dish dog, the dishwasher who worked that morning because another dishwasher could not stop coughing, or because he needed overtime to pile the sacks of rice and beans for a family floating away on some Caribbean island plagued by frogs. Alabanza, praise the waitress who heard the radio in the kitchen and sang to herself about a man gone. Alabanza, after the thunder, wilder than thunder, after the shudder deep in the glass of the great windows, after the radio stopped singing like a tree full of terrified frogs. After night burst the dam of day and flooded the kitchen, for a time the stoves glowed in the darkness, like the lighthouse in Fajardo, like a cook's soul. Soul, I say, even if the dead cannot tell us about the bristles of God's beard, because God has no face. Soul, I say, to name the smoke beings flung in constellations across the night sky of the city and cities to come. Alabanza, I say, even if God has no face. Alabanza, when the war began from Manhattan and Kabul, 2 constellations of smoke rose and drifted to each other, mingling in icy air, and one said with an Afghan tongue, "Teach me to dance, we have no music here." And the other said with a Spanish tongue, "I will teach you, music is all we have."
One of the hardest parts about that poem for me is that it's true, and those people really lived, worked there every day. I think about the maps that they inhabited, their routines of getting coffee, where they spent their downtime, how they had to navigate to pick up their kids from school or get their mom to dialysis on their one day off that last week of August when it was hotter than usual in New York and it didn't rain as much as you might have expected. And then one day, a couple of weeks later, they went to work while I wandered in late to my Spanish class. And I lived, and they died. And I just kept on living, and they kept on being dead. I can't know what that day was like for them. And I can't know what it was to be them. To honor their stories, their selves, is to honor the unknown, the unknowable. I can't know what it was like to be them. And I can't know what it was like to be their parents, waiting for a phone call that never would come, or their friends' lives carved open, no sense to make of it. When I was younger, that nagged at me, an ever-present source of frustration, that which I could not know. I wanted epistemic confidence. Epistemic means related to knowledge or to the degree of its validation. I wanted to be able to claim to know what it was to be someone else, so I could declare if they were right or wrong, good or bad. I wanted to know if I was good, if I'm honest. I needed to know that I was good. If I was good, I was safe, but I couldn't know. I was so mad about it. It goes beyond the not knowing of specific lives. I can't know what it's like to be multilingual and multicultural from birth, to have your closest family spanning multiple continents. I can't know what it is to be tall, and to think that the highest shelf in the kitchen is a perfectly reasonable place to put something you might use on a regular basis. I can't know what it's like to grow up as an only child, or to have dyslexia, or to prefer sweet things to salty things, or to lose a parent while you're still a child, or to be raised as a girl, or to be a man who was raised as a girl. As a young man, it rankled not to be allowed access to that knowledge. I wanted so badly to know everything. I bristled at it. And you can't know what it's like to be me. I hope to bring you a little closer today. I'm going to tell you a story that I struggled to believe was real. When I told it to my kids, Violet, Henry, and Fern, and to my wife, Cheryl, I had to call my brother Luke the next day just to check my own memory. It just seemed too inexplicable, too at odds with the world as I know it to be believed. But my brother said it was true. It actually happened. Now, the story itself makes no sense to me. It's not significant either. It doesn't matter. It's a stone in a shoe. It's a typo in a published novel long out of print. But the thing is, it is true. It actually happened. And I can't make any sense of it. And making sense, finding meaning, integrating the world into something sort of coherent, that's who I've become. It's my most ingrained habit. I am a sense maker, an acceptor. I look at the world and the actions of each person, and I find reasons all the way down. But so anyway, when I was 15 years old, my brother Luke was 14, he and I left our house, and we walked due south. We did this about once a week. We were heading to Comic Quest, our local comic book shop, and the walk was 1.1 miles. I looked this up. I have puzzled over this now for 27 years. It's about a 15-minute walk, and the first 13 minutes, totally uneventful. I don't even know what happened. We were shooting the breeze, money in our pockets. It was early fall, eastern Pennsylvania, a town called Emmaus. That's where we grew up. In my mind, I have a hooded sweatshirt on, but I know that that's incorrect because I wouldn't get my first hooded sweatshirt until 4 years later at the age of 19. Luke and I, we were walking down Cedar Crest Boulevard. I'm sure I was anticipating the new issue of Action Comics, maybe the latest crossover Green Lantern Flash comic. Luke was into Batman. I think that was the year The Long Halloween came out. Probably I was also thinking about buying a couple packs of Magic the Gathering cards. Luke and I had a paper out empire at that point, so whatever teenage nerds were into, we could probably afford it. We crossed Chestnut Street, which is the busy main street in my hometown, and I know we jaywalked. We crossed in front of what was at the time a record store. Apparently now, it's Mi Havana, a Cuban restaurant. I'll probably check it out next time I'm there. I know this because unlike the prior 13 minutes, I know we jaywalked because I distinctly remember the next 40 seconds. We crossed the street briskly, hustling our way out of traffic. I didn't have a hoodie on. I definitely was wearing jeans. I was on the left, and Luke was on my right, and I saw two people walking toward us. I wasn't paying any attention to them. They were clearly headed their own way. We were headed toward the comic book shop, which was a storefront in the strip mall. If we'd gone straight at the strip mall, Comic Quest would have been 4 stores to the right. So instead, we were cutting an oblique angle, veering to our right. The The two people approaching us were coming at roughly the same angle, and they were going to pass on my left. My brother, Luke, must have said something funny because I laughed mere moments before the two passed us. I looked up with a smile on my face, and I saw two other kids, one of whom I didn't recognize, the other of whom I knew only as Rocky, a boy about 6 months younger than me, in the grade between Luke and myself in school, someone I knew by sight and reputation. But if I'd said more than 3 words to him before this moment, it would have been a surprise. Rocky had a can of Sprite in his hand, and he looked at us as he passed, and I nodded in the way that men nod to one another. And then we passed each other, and I walked ahead another 3 steps or so when I felt a dull impact on the base of my skull from behind. I fell to the ground. I heard a thunk and fizzing on the asphalt. I turned and looked up from where I lay, on my chest on the ground, and I saw my brother shouting at the 2 boys, and right there in front of me, an almost full Sprite can leaking its contents onto the cool gray pavement, turning it dark and lemon lime scented. "What the hell, man?" I shouted at Rocky, who had evidently thrown a nearly full can of soda at the back of my head as hard as he could, which was quite hard. I picked myself up off the ground while my brother and I and the 2 of them jawed at each other for a while. At this point, the details don't really matter. We backed our way defensively to the comic book shop, to safety, to a world of sanity where things like this didn't happen. My brother is very funny. I'm not surprised I was laughing. Maybe Rocky thought I was laughing at him. Maybe he'd had a run-in with somebody else and he was just kicking the can down the road. I have puzzled over this. What kind of person just randomly throws a full can of soda at another person's head? He literally just paid for it. He took 2 sips and then he threw it at me. Wait, this actually happened, right? But evidently, yes, this actually happened to me. And I cannot make sense of it. A brief moment in an unregarded strip mall parking lot between me, my brother, some kid I barely knew, and another person who I never had seen, would never see again. I checked in with Luke recently. He said he'd had run-ins with Rocky before, had had some money taken. For me, that's just one more thing I can't make sense of. The thing it was trying to do to me was make me afraid, I guess, afraid of that which I could not know. I want to understand. I have spent years trying to understand this. Now, if I'm engaged in my free and responsible search for truth and meaning, what I need to tell you is that you can get lost there. My anger at my inability to know is the expression of an insatiable pride. We as humans may feel like, because we have found the continents and we can answer the question, what is the tallest mountain or what is the deepest lake, we may feel like we know some things. But compared to the set of things to be known, compared to all the experiences that there are to be had and the reasons people have for doing the things that they do, compared to making any actual sense of it all, humility is the only reasonable response. There were 4 people there on that day. And the interaction lasted maybe 40 seconds. And I was there. It happened to me, and I cannot make sense of it. Of the work we do within, among, and beyond this community, we can spin forever just working on ourselves. What are we supposed to do with 8 billion people and the vastness of time? I think about the cook with a shaven head, the blue-eyed man from Fajardo, and the lighthouse that saved ships from rocky shores. I think about the Pittsburgh Pirates and Roberto Clemente. Before my time, but man, that guy could hit a pitch out of the zone better than anybody. And he always hit it where they weren't, and he was so quick out of the box. I think about what it's like to open a restaurant for the day, the twin experiences, the routine, every day, featuring its things that happen the same way again and again, and the novel, every day featuring its subtle distinctions, things that don't work. A day when the light comes through the window just so, or when the right song comes on the radio at the right time, when you're getting everything cleaned up and ready to go. I think about the waitress and the dishwasher who were just showing up to work that day. That day, half my life ago, when I ambled into Spanish 2, a few minutes late, to find my instructor rolling a TV in, wordlessly telling us that something today was not routine. It was different, would be different, would stay different, would never be the same again. I have been alive for 15,288 days. Almost 50% of those came before September 11th. And a little more than 50%, 50.2%, have come since then. I have spent just over half my life puzzling over that. I think about the way that we all responded that day, and the next day, and the next day. I think about the way that I said the wrong thing, and I had friends who said the wrong thing, and we just stopped being friends. 21 years later, here we are in 2022, and I don't know about you, but I don't feel more confident about my understanding of the world. I will say that if I had it to do over again, I would have said, I don't know, more often, with more emphasis. I don't know. I don't know. There's just so much I don't know, that I can't know, that we can't know. In not knowing, though, I have found some solace. I have learned how to not know better than I once did. In that parking lot, my model of the world of people was troubled. It was stirred up. Not enough. I still walked around thinking I knew. A thing that I know, that a lot of people I know don't know, is what it's like to grow up with routine masculine violence outside the home, but kindness and love inside the home. You can't know what that did to me. I know how the violence of my life shaped the way I interact with men, with everyone in society, the way it made me hide my capacity to feel. I know how getting punched in the face threatened my ability to express myself, the specific way that public humiliation and physical attacks still make me police my own appearance, the way I come off toward other people, how the fact that I can pass as a normal guy made me try very hard to do so. You have your own experiences, but you don't have mine, and you can't know, even I struggle to know, how those experiences have shaped me. I know how that pressure encouraged me to engage in casual homophobia and transphobia, just so I wasn't excluded or attacked. I know how, at least when I was a teenager, I learned where and when to let misogyny or racism slide so I could get out of the situation safely. I know how the encounters I had with men worked to make me complicit in hurting people I loved. I know how I defended my complicity, even inside my own head. I know how people, so many people, tried to get me to fear other people. In particular, I know how I rankled when people told me that maybe I hadn't had the specific experiences I needed to have an informed opinion about issues that didn't primarily affect me. I was convinced at age 16 that I basically knew what one needed to know to deserve to be listened to on any issue. At age 16, can you imagine? In my work on building beloved community within, I have come to have compassion for that ignorant and well-meaning teenage boy, a boy I know intimately, because I happen to be him, and who was not wrong that he cared deeply about others and thought deeply about the world, but was very wrong about how much there was to know. There is so much to know, so impossibly much. When I was 15, my brother and my dad and I had a paper route, a little family business, a wonderful bonding experience, a chance to learn how to do some work. And the subscribers to the morning call made up our own little map of our own little world. Luke and I would have to go door to door to collect. Some people would pay in cash or by check in person, so we would knock on people's doors. Probably 100 doors we would knock on. And we would enter houses, apartments, never past the foyer. The inside beyond was unknowable. There were cooking smells, noises offstage, glimpses into what worlds we could never inhabit. Each of those 100 homes full of lives we could see into but never know. When I was 30 years old, in my first job after grad school, a student gave me a card that I've carried around with me. It's in my pocket. Lo, these last 10 plus years. On it, it reads, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding," which comes from the book of Proverbs. And it's funny how I was already at that point leaning away from my own understanding. I know how grateful I am to my family and closest friends for not reinforcing the fear of others, but teaching me instead that fearing others was itself the wrong response. I know how I was taught not to fear. I know about the positivity and compassion my mother gave me, always saying things like, you can't have no in your heart, and a stranger is just a friend you haven't met. I was leaning beyond my own understanding because we all have to learn from others. I was leaning beyond my own understanding because in the map of things to be known, I can only travel so far. There's so much that is simply unknowable. I desperately wanted to think that I could just think my way there, that my search for truth and meaning could be a solo journey. But I cannot know what people think of me when I'm not there. I cannot know what happened beyond all of those foyers. Who read the comics, who did the crosswords, who read the paper front to back. And I cannot know what it's like to walk around as a boy who's become a large and powerful man who intimidates people with his sheer size. Although friends I know have had that experience. It sounds very hard and alienating and distancing. I cannot know what it is like to walk around the world as a woman, what it is to be catcalled or discriminated against in myriad subtle ways in the workplace. I cannot know what it is to be a person of color, even what questions that might raise, let alone what it is to be a specific, particular person of color, navigating the things people think of you and the infinite number of details many may fail to see. Or what it is to be gay and have to be friends with someone like me, so many people like me, who should have been kinder earlier. I'm grateful for the grace I have been given, and I begrudge no one the anger they might feel toward me for not coming around earlier. I am grateful for the wisdom I was given, sometimes in anger, that allowed me to grow beyond who I was at the time, and continues to help me grow. I am grateful, in particular, for the demand that I stop guessing what it must be like and start listening to what it is like. I can't know what it is to be anyone else. They say you can't love other people until you learn to love yourself. But honestly, my love for other people is what forced me to become someone I loved. I'm so grateful to the brilliant, beautiful people who showed me just how silly and small my worldview was. We heard last week about Derek Black, KKK royalty, and how his friendships challenged him, made him question the world he thought he knew. He bridged into the unknowable and found that instead of monsters, there were people worthy of love on the other side, that there was love to be found, people who would love him, no matter what he had believed. For me, that love defies understanding. It is so powerful. It transforms the unknown, which is so much bigger than the known. Instead of vast gaps on the map where we can never go, having there be monsters penciled in, we go explore a tiny corner, we hear from fellow travelers, and we find out that there are not monsters there, but love, unearned, unexpected love. It transforms fear of the unknown into wonder at what might be out there. That kind of love, the notion that that is available, it makes me want to listen, to learn more about the maps that other people inhabit, to find out what beauty and joy lies on shores that I can never reach. Since I came to UCA, I've gotten to know so many of you, and I've expanded my view of the world so much. I honestly didn't think this place had much to offer me. I was hesitant when Cheryl first floated the idea of giving up our lazy Sunday mornings. Honestly, I'm still kind of salty about it some days, when I just want to linger in bed. But this is a place that has helped me learn to listen. I still want to know, and I have learned that if I want to know, I have to listen. The beauty is that every single person knows things that I don't. What I learn when I do this is that I am so lucky and so poorly informed. We are all so lucky and so poorly informed. There are so many people that one could be that one is not. And there's still fear there, but instead of filling me with apprehension, it fills me with awe. I don't know what it was to be that dishwasher or that waitress. I can only imagine the suffering that their families experienced or their friends. But I hope that the ones who lived were comforted by listening and that they found themselves listened to. I hope that instead of fear and anger, which I cannot hope to fathom, they instead found love and connection and solace, which I also cannot hope to fathom. Alabanza, praise for the mystery of the unknowable. I hope that with each person we meet, we see clearly the fear that we have been taught to feel, and we set it aside for the wonder that we might embrace. I hope that each day we go into, not knowing what to expect, we can look clear-eyed at the fear that someone tried to drill into us and abandon that with grace, and instead find that we have capacity to wonder together at what may come. Let us sing.
Love will guide us, peace has dried us, hope inside us, leading the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, then give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love.
You. Take your heart out of that bottle. Abandon the fear of the unknown. It makes so much sense, but please ask that fear to wait quietly while you greet and entertain and party with its twin, wonder at the unknowable. Do what my 16-year-old self should have done. Think less and listen more. Each person has something truly wonderful to teach you, and when you tap into that, unfathomable love from unknown corners is right there for the taking. What will it be like? I don't know. Go in blessing even as you bless others along your way.